are oppressed. We are exploited. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
How great I am.
If you're some man of the rock,
You want first place, come play with me. You want second place, go somewhere else.
Let us sing forever. Let us play forever.
Wake your ass up. Awaken the beast inside.
Censorship at its finest. Be careful who you listen to. The only reason why I brought this topic up, guys, is I don't care who you listen to. Just be careful. Even us. There's a lot of people, like a lot of my friends who listen to this podcast and say, yo, like, they'll take something out of context. Nah, bro, this is how I feel. And you have to explain yourself. Mind you this, these people who are saying stuff you're only taking one clip or one moment and they're not further explaining it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it goes for everyone. So that's why, thank God, as I tried to work on myself, you eventually realize that people you looked up to, listened to, were the entire time saying nonsense, saying things that actually went against like your value, your morality, spirituality, religion, and all these things, and etc. But at the time, you were blind following. You had no idea about it, right? Taklik. And now it's just like, okay, you have to refine. You have to replace those that were useless and replace it with those who are useful for your well-being, obviously, so you can live your life to the best of your ways. Because if not, you're literally living you're revolving around a cycle that's full of waste. That's contaminated knowledge, contaminated information, and it only makes you speak out and misinformation. And who wants to be a person known for that? Whether you're small or a major person, right? You're supposed to be intelligent, right? To an extent. We're not saying you're supposed to have a PhD in trigonometry. No, you're supposed to be intelligent in your everyday life and what you know, whether you're a crafts person, whether you're a politician, whether you're a technician, whatever. You're supposed to be intelligent in the things that you do know. So whatever we do know, let's try to learn the best of it so we could actually give out information that's informative, that's positive, and that's also going to benefit society and where we live, as opposed to taking in things that's only going to make us confused, deranged, and not understand or be able to contemplate the information we're receiving at hand. So therefore, we have to do our best to figure out what's real and what's not real, and what we could take versus what's need to be left out for your own well-being. Because if not, of course, this TikTok generation is either going to transform into something that's very beautiful and positive, or just a bunch of monsters that we just have to deal with, and their rationality is out of this world. They don't know how to take things into context or even care about the context because everything is so quick and innate. Those are the two things that's really going to happen. So it's all about how we get them to slow down, take in the context of a situation, try to find out what things actually mean before you move on to it so quickly, and relax, you know? But obviously, if we're promoting this idea that everything has to be so quick, so fast, so random, on to the next without realizing the possible consequences or mistakes of your past action, you're really brewing a society that's not going to know the value of mistakes or accountability or the point of being held, taking criticism, value criticism, face value criticism. Why? Because someone might instead stab someone or shoot someone in the head because they couldn't handle a simple criticism about how they worked, what job they did, or even their actions.
You know, it's funny how people, this is off topic, by the way, because you just said something. It's funny how people will say stuff and they don't follow. Like, I think a lot of people are just talk. Like, whether you listen to Andrew Tate, Drizzy, all these big guys in the order. Like, when they, for example, say work hard, I think a lot of people listen to that and they're like, well, I am working hard. You hate or love someone, you got to give them credit in terms of what they're doing. A lot of people don't have action. A lot of people, I think, these days are just talk. These TikTok man are just talk. Because ideally, when you're on TikTok, you can glamorize, bro, you can make this podcast that we're doing right now, just the things that we're doing, make it sound 40,000 times better than it actually is. But then they get to know us personally. Like, we're just humble dudes. We're just chilling. We're like, we love living life and we don't like spending our money. We just like chilling. But I think a lot of people, they hear something, they're like, well, so and so said this, and I'm gonna do that. Bro, success comes in different formulas. It's like similar as math. Math has different ways you can get the number 6. You can add, subtract, multiply, divide, and within each section you can get the number 6 in different ways. Meaning that just because it worked one way for one person does not mean it has to work one way for you. The knowledge is power. The one thing Mozo always said is knowledge is power. Whether you listen, disagree, or agree, take what they say and say to yourself, okay, cool. I understand what they say here, but why are they saying that? And then go from there. People are entitled to their opinion, whether you like it or you don't. There's a lot of people who don't agree with a lot of things that I say. There's a lot of people who agree with a lot of things that I say. It just goes 50-50. But you can't go, for example, and say, oh, well, like, Andrew Tate said, if you do this, you'll be successful. Yeah, but there's also more context to it. You think he just magically woke up one day, became successful? I don't think that's how life works. You think Drake woke up one day, made one hit single? If you knew Drake, there's a lot of bad songs he made before he made Best I Ever Had. And he'll be the first person to tell you himself. There are steps to success, and steps to success is a lot of failing. And a lot of people, I don't know what the stigma is about failing. People like want to avoid it. You're gonna go through it regardless. I don't know what this issue is. I had to go on a tangent. My bad. Something you just said like fired up a thought in my head.
No, it's okay. Like, the point is, even us ourselves, if you listen to our podcast once or twice or even 5 times, and you think that everything we're saying, like, okay, could possibly be true, but I just don't like their perspective or one of their perspectives, or I just don't like their voice, attitude, personality, then cool. Try to find something that's better, works for you, whatever medium it is, so you can obviously grow. It doesn't have to be us. We're not the only tree. We're not the only branch under the tree of knowledge that we try to be under. Obviously, that's the goal. There's different branches, different shades, you know? So whatever you can to find that, to really be you, then do it.
Do it! Just do it!
Like, for myself, when I was younger, around 2007, you could not tell me Kanye West was the most impactful, most wise, most future avant-garde person on earth. Why? Because graduation dropped, the whole world changed. I saw it with my eyes, and I'm like, okay, he's literally taking that formula and what I saw, well, actually I didn't see it, I wasn't alive during that time, but what I've studied through people like Michael, and he's doing it. So I'm like, you know what? That's the person I must figure out and want to be after and stuff, right? And then as time turns and you get older, you get to the point where, I don't know if you heard Osama, he did an interview 2 days ago.
Kanye?
And he's always said this multiple times, yeah, but in the interview he said that he doesn't like reading. Like, he's never read a book. Like, Kanye does not like reading books. He says reading is like eating Brussels sprouts for me. And that talking for him is equivalent to like some special Italian dish like ravioli. So he's better at talking. He'd rather talk than read. Like, reading is useless and meaningless, right? And it's just like, why would I ever want to listen to someone, learn from someone, take it from someone who says that? Just because someone has $8 billion does not mean that they have 8 billion reasons of truth. It actually means that they have 8 billion reasons as to why they didn't understand the point they're here and why they're actually living. So if a Muslim, if the goal is you're going to be questioned on your prayers, number 1, and what you did, number 2, and how much you read the book, a mushaf, and you're listening to someone all the time who's literally telling you, because he has $8 billion, a girl who's one of the most famous people on earth, that reading is equivalent to eating Brussels sprouts, and that talking nonsensical about anything at any given moment is equivalent to a special kind of dish. People, that's literally the difference between living and being dead. Now imagine when that actually happens to you and you have to face those repercussions. Don't be on the wrong side of history. Just don't.
Bro, you just said, just because someone has $8 billion does not mean they have 8 billion truths. That's powerful.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's so powerful. A lot of people don't understand that. Just because you have $8 billion does not mean you have 8 billion truths. Can you please talk about that more? I actually want to see your thought process behind that.
Yeah, the reason why I said that is because The classic example, like the wisest people on earth are mostly not rich. They're content, they're humble. Whether facets you find them in life. But the point is, we live in a society, a hyper sensitive, a hyper generalized society where it's just like certain things, check marks, checkpoints that you must have in order to be deemed credible or someone could take from. So if you take two persons, let's say someone, humble person, has a family, cultivated, done good things, and the community is not in that for 30 years, versus someone else like Kanye West. The last 20 to 30 years was he's done in the music industry and the fashion world as well. Take these two people, have a debate. 5 questions in life. 5 central questions in life. What's the meaning of life? Number 1, is there a God? Yes or no? Number 3, what's the value in being good to others? Number 4, what's the value of learning? Number 5, what's the value in death? You just ask those 5 simple questions. I guarantee you, within those 5 questions, the person who's wise, humble, not rich at all, does well in the community, learn one single kind of craft or whatever, or a polytheist in that sense, will give the best of answers. The best of answers that you've ever seen in your life. Meanwhile, Kanye West, as we already know, will probably spend, let's say, 60 to 80, actually no, let's make it higher because it's Kanye West, right? He's going to spend 90 to 95% of those answers saying as to why he is the reason as to why those things even exist or don't exist. And even in death, his name will not be in vain and he'll still be living. And plus the attachment that he has $8 billion, so no one can tell him anything, even the person that he's debating with.
You know this guy, like Kanye West, he calls himself a genius, but he's probably one of the biggest idiots in the whole world. Because there's just things, it's just a lot of things he says. I'm like, bro, do you hear yourself? Damn! Like, yes, you're an amazing musician, you're an amazing artist. But a lot of things that you say don't add up to that. Sometimes there's an old saying that my dad used to always tell me. It's like, think before you speak, because other people might think you're stupid. And don't prove to them that you are. Because if you speak before you think, then you're going to prove, man, that you're dumb. And a lot of the times, people just want, people just want to, like, live in this kind of moment that they're like, for example, when, like, you're in a heated argument. And you're just, at this point, you're not even taking in what someone's saying. You're just waiting for that response. And I think that's what a lot of people do. They're just waiting for that response. They want their moment. They want to shine in that moment. Yeah, but that shine can only last 5 or 6 seconds. 5 minutes max. After that, like, you gotta come back to reality. It's funny because working hard lasts longer than your achievement when you get recognized.
It's this simple. I give you the example of Kanye West. As a Muslim, I know then, before, I know wholeheartedly now that when it's time to pray, you pray towards the east. God forgive me for the days when I looked towards the west for guidance. Guidance in everything, as far as how to do it, what to do, what success is, how to have goals. Like, it's a beautiful example what I just said. Like, if I want what I want, I look towards the east. It's been told. There's clear-cut example as to why it's beneficial for me. But there was a time where I looked towards the west for guidance in the form of that man. And there's a lot of people, older, younger, same age as me, especially Muslims, that still look towards the west, whether it's him or other people. And that's a scary thing about it.
I have a question for you. What are your, again, you don't have to go fully in depth, but what are your thoughts on Muslims who do that? Like these Muslim creators, Muslim influencers that do that. And they try to justify the fact that it's okay doing that. I'll share my point. I just want to hear your point.
I don't have to say anything because they know. They know. You know, I know that you know what it is. It's very simple. We know that killing is bad, right? We know taking an infant and throwing the baby over a bridge is bad, right? We know that giving money to homeless people is good, right? We know that helping an elder lady cross the street is good, right? So as humans, we know what right and what wrong is. So if you're a Muslim, you know what that culminates inside the religion itself. Because Muslims, whether you're, the beautiful thing about Islam, I'll give credit to, whether you're like a really devout or you're just not as spiritual or as religious, we really know what's right and what's wrong as far as the religion, what it wants and what it doesn't want. Like, we already know that. So if someone's trying to go out of it and trying to create leeways or different pathways, my friend, that's a decision you took. You know what to do, you know what not to do. So don't try to tell me that I found this secret door and that I'm going to use this door to help. No, that's not the door we take. That's not the pathway we take. There's only one way, we follow it. For those who want to go in a different direction, by all means, go ahead. But you know the truth. They know, we know what it is.
You know how you said that just because you have $8 billion doesn't mean you have 8 billion truths? It's funny because there's a lot of truths out there, over billions, yet people pretend like they don't see it. And I'm not saying as an influencer, it's your job to be fully reliable. It's not. Again, like but I do think that if you do know something is wrong that you're doing, whether it's religiously or it's ethically or like morally wrong, you can't complain about it. You can't go and say, well, it's my life. Like, you can't judge me. Like, for example, if I say, we know that speeding is wrong, as you mentioned. If you get caught for it, you're not going to go to police and say, well, like, it was only one time. I never sped in my life.
Perfect example.
No, it's not. And I also think when it comes to religiously, you know, okay, what I say, like, I'm not going to go in depth, but like a lot of people that try to proclaim that what they're doing is right. Don't misverse the verses. I would rather you misverse me, misquote me. I would rather, because I can defend myself. But you're playing, when it comes to religion, you're playing with a higher source of power who gave you guidelines. Similarly to how the government has given us guidelines to live. You bro, imagine, like, as you said, imagine, for example, threatening a government official. You're going to go to jail. You're going to go to jail. Talk as much trash as you want about them. Go ahead. Freedom of speech. But once you do that, it's game over. People want to, like, always act innocent and say, well, as a Muslim, like, you can't judge me because, you know, Allah says don't judge. You know, Allah says a lot of other stuff in the Quran. Why is it that one verse you guys want to, like, start, like, referring back to? Like when girls, for example, take off their hijab and they start want to proclaiming, well, I'm trying to find myself. Or when guys are wearing earrings and, like, they're like, oh, well, like, you know, it's not gold though. Or when guys are, like, wearing jewelry. I'm like, bro, first of all, as a Muslim, never tell another Muslim what to do. Secondly, like, for example, me, more Muslims, we have never once influenced our religion on other people. It's through our good actions people are asking, like, yo, can I get to know more about your religion? And we have friends who are good friends of ours who are non-Muslim. Have we ever once? We've never done that. And we can even bring them on. We have never once said, oh, bro, you should go to Muslims. Like, we will have these conversations amongst ourselves. But we never once influenced. People talk about Islam, or people talk about these views as if they made them. That means there's a lot of contradictions. So here's the perfect example. Why is it okay to say, you can't do this, but you could do that, but they're both contradictory to each other? So where does that come from? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's just so true. I just think a lot of people have to, like, come to realization that you are accountable for, like, I'm talking about, like, to everybody, even myself and Mo, you are accountable for your own, like, mistakes.
Yeah, like, we know, you know the truth. You know what it is. So it's either you follow it or you don't follow it. Like Dr. Amjad says every week. Imagine living in a country and you refuse to pay tax. See what happens. You
won't even come out alive, bro.
Refuse to pay tax and be like, I'm gonna stay in my house, and no one could come inside my house and come grab
you know
me. See what happens.
What's so funny too is a lot of these, like, like athletes and celebrities are getting caught now paying tax now, and they're coming after them. They're like, yo, where you at? But here's the beautiful part. A lot of people have to pick and choose their sayings from verses or from life. Like, here's a perfect example, and it always pisses me off when people say this. When girls say men are trash, okay? Then when you reverse the thing and say, what about our women trash? They get mad. You cannot pick and choose. You gotta be really wise. When Mo said what Kanye said about reading, no one's expecting you to read books. Go read articles. Go read things you're interested about. Go read something that you're able to talk about. Again, I'm not the best. Mo knows I'm not the best reader, but for me to get to that point, I have to, like, start training myself, my brain, to read a certain amount of pages, and start with books you like, and then grow to the point where you can finish a whole book. But here's my point: if you say men are trash, for example, as girls, and then a guy says to you, well, women are trash as well, that's a general statement that makes no sense. They both make no sense. think about it realistically, it does not make sense at all. Because there are amazing men in this world who do selfless acts without you even knowing, and they stay to themselves. And that's unfair of speaking about their character. And when it comes to a religion standpoint, you're also held accountable when you make something. It's okay. I can think about women are saying are trash. And I won't get punished for that because I thought it. But once you express it, you're going to get punished for it because that means you're speaking about other people's characteristics, which when you don't even know about them. Who am I, Osama, to go speak about whoever? Bro, people think they can tweet stuff because they live in Hollywood. People think that they can, because they have some next fame, that they can say whatever they want. You don't. You're a normal human being at the end of the day. $1 million, $1 billion, the Queen of England, the King of England. You're still a normal human being. There are repercussions for what you do say.
Yeah, beautiful thing is, no matter what you do in life, no matter what you say in life, no matter how you act in life, we're all heading in the same direction, which is the grave. We're all heading in the same direction. So you could do whatever you want, say what you want, act however as you like. We are all going in the same direction, which is the grave, whether we care for it or we don't care for it. The point is, are you aware? Are you prepared? Do you understand the depth and the magnitude of such a transformation and such a transition into a place that we do not realize how severe or how pleasing it might be, depending on the things we do and say and the time that we have now?
Yes. You know, I'm gonna give I'm gonna reference some lyrics, and again, I could be giving somewhat of a spoiler, but again, that's one instance to what Waze is about. This person says, "It's easy to talk trash on social media when you're living safe in the hills." A lot of people can go on Twitter right now and say, "Yo, Mo, Osama, you guys are trash." By the way, we've had someone call us fake before, and I know this person personally over social media. I've spoken to him, and he was just trashing me this whole time. Now, I'm not mad, but in my head, I'm like, if this is someone who I considered like a boy of mine, right? Someone, it's okay to criticize, but it's not okay to trash someone. So in my head, I'm like, something has to change. I remember I had this conversation, and I think I told Mo maybe like 2 weeks after, and he was like, "There's no way this person actually said this." Like, yeah, bro, he did verbatim. Like, that's what he said. So there's a huge difference between criticizing and trashing. And then don't make up your own, don't be subjective when someone puts you in your place. So if someone says, "I think you could do this better," they're giving you advice. It's like, hey, you know, as a Muslim, I think that you should stop doing that. Just FYI, like, I've seen things going down. Maybe you don't want that. No, well, you don't know me. I'm going through something. You're going through something, bro. Start praying. Start going back to God. Start doing something. Don't assume that things are gonna get better. And by the way, even if you are close to God, you'll still be going through trials and tribulations. That's how life is. There's not one person that walked on this earth that did not go through that. Even babies. A kid who's 2 years old, if you tell him no to his toy, what's the first thing he's gonna do? Cry. Because that's the only thing he does know. That means you're showing him that you don't love him, but you do love him because you got to teach him that you can't fall in love with materialistic items. But people always want to proclaim that their word is versus yours. Oh, well, like I said this. Who are you, bro? Who are you and who am I? Who is Mo? We are meaningless. There's 8 billion people in this world. There's one sun. There's one earth and there's one sun. Now put the earth in the sun. You can probably fit millions and millions of earths in that sun. So pretty much, if the earth is bigger than us, imagine how many billions and billions of people you can fit in that sun. You are meaningless. You're only a human being. You have no power. The only power you have is if you're close to God, you'll get whatever you want, whatever you choose to. Your faith is really important. But yet people want to like always complain that things are not going their way when really it's your mistakes. Because God will never put you through hell or anything. That's you. That's your problem. That's a you problem. Because I could tell you, yes, you'll go through times of trouble, but you're the one that pushes yourself through punishment, not God.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about Islam. It means submission. So when you decide to submit to your Lord and what He has declared for you, the best of ways to live, you're free from the things that life will offer you that's totally useless, and that will derive you from the beautiful aspects that religion has to offer. And obviously, if you take those things as well, it spews into things like anxiety, depression, and different forms and bad habits that actually might make you not want to live on earth and not want to see the best of days and not want to be the best of yourself to your friends, family, and even spouse. So that's why it's like once you submit, you're free of everything. But at the same time, there is trials and tribulation that does happen. But the point is, how do you respond to it? Do you turn back to your Lord in need and in vain? Or do we act and question why he would give you such a complicated matter in the first place? Wisdom comes through such events. If you don't take it, then you're clearly just a person that will not take the most basic form of examples, whether direct or indirect, right? So we just got to be careful with what we do, how we say, how we act. And that's why we try our best, because if we don't, life is not worth it.
I just want to share one last point, and that's like video for me. But when you do post a video or a podcast or whatever it is, you're going to get people saying from both sides. So do not get mad and upset when someone puts it out. Like, for example, if I sin publicly, don't you think there's going to be people who say what you're doing is prohibited, haram, or like that's illegal or whatever? Now, when you do something which is good, don't you think people, they'll praise you like, wow, mashallah, great job, it's amazing, I can't believe you stopped that robber, you risked your life to stop that robber. You get rewarded. So the same way you're going to get rewarded about doing something, you're going to get punished publicly when you are a public figure, when you put something up publicly. So do not get mad. Know that there are consequences. Social media does not mean protection. There's no protection on social media once you put your face out there, put a platform out there. There's going to be people who do trash you, but there's also going to be people who do put you in your place when they see something that's wrong. And I'm not saying that nobody could judge you, but when you say something stupid or something senile or something amazing, you're going to have a certain reaction, and you got to be ready for that.
Yeah, just be ready. Just be ready.
You guys thought we were done? I don't think so. We still got to wrap it up. Please follow me at Kusa300. Follow my co-host Muhammad at Muhammad.global. Make sure to follow our page at Instagram. Also, make sure to subscribe to all our platforms. We drop every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Thank you. We'll see you next week.